Yeah, credits time. Okay, let's go ahead and give a review of Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster within the time of the credits. So, upsides. I actually really like that Final Fantasy 1 happens to be a shorter RPG. I like long RPGs, but the fact that it's shorter does mean there's more likely of a chance that I'll go ahead and revisit it. I know that sounds contradictory considering I just said I haven't played this in 15 years, but I always kind of forget just how short it is, and I'm hoping that this time I'll remember and go, yeah, I could probably beat that in 2 days. That's nice. On the other hand, I do like having longer RPGs, because typically they can tell better stories, and that definitely is not Final Fantasy 1's strongest point. It's a kind of a darned if you do, darned if you don't, because as I said, I do honestly, as I said, appreciate the fact that it's shorter, and it's just something you can zip through. But the story is lacking, it's not very good, it's here, it exists, it's okay. Not that it's anything against it, honestly. It's... You have to remember, this game's 35 years old, so... They hadn't exactly mastered the storytelling yet, or any of that sort. As for the gameplay, mostly overall, I actually really enjoyed it. I'm more used to the MP system as opposed to the one spell, you only have a certain amount of spells per level. I kind of like this a little bit better, actually, so I kind of wish they'd bring it back, but it is probably infinitely easier to program the other way, so I can't really fault them for that. Fighting-wise, I have no problems. The fact that they solved a lot of the glitches that exist in the original Final Fantasy, and even some glitches that existed past the original Final Fantasy into the Game Boy Advance version and various other versions, that's appreciated, honestly. It took them 35 years to fix some of the glitches, but you know what? I'll take what I can get. As I said, for the story, I would say that there's really nothing problematic from a Catholic standpoint. You don't go on trying to do any atrocities. You don't try to do anything bad. I guess the biggest problem that possibly could be is magic, but once again, it's not real magic, it's just in the world. It's not like they're using any incantations, so I can't really fault it for anything in regards to that. Let's see. Replayability? I would definitely say that the game does have a lot of replayability as well, honestly, because, as I said, you have six different classes. Had to think about it for a second. You have 6 different classes. You can choose any of those 6 different classes when you start a game. So if you wanted to go into the game with all monks, you could. I don't know if I'd recommend it, but you could. But yeah, basically it's like you have a lot of different combinations for how you could play the game. You could do 2 black mages, 2 white mages, etc., etc. So I'd say there is a lot of replayability. The only thing is that some of the puzzles, quote unquote, it does detract from that. One of the puzzles I can think of specifically is like, hey, you have the Rosetta Stone, go give it to my brother. Where's your brother? I don't mind them saying go give it to my brother, but considering that you had just gotten the Rosetta Stone after the 3rd fiend, so you know the water fiend, so you probably weren't even thinking of the first fiend at that point. You probably didn't even notice, hey, here's a named character. I should, you know, keep him in mind for later. Yeah, no, you need to go back to where the first fiend was, the town, right before that, and go ahead and take care of that. But once again, this is an NES game. It doesn't exactly hold your hand. I just wanted some hint. That's like the one thing that's like, yeah, that part isn't explained very well. It's like the golem, where you have to go, hey, I saw something fall into the waterfall. It's a little north of our town. Okay, I can do that. Hey, there's a caravan in the desert. You need to go there. Okay, I can do that as well. That's not a problem. It's just, find my brother. No. Do not like. That might be a little bit of nitpicking, honestly. As for 2 other things I'd want to get to, now that it's reminded me, the music, I think that overall, the remixes were really good, and I really hope that they do allow these to be, I'd like to buy them on vinyl, I guess is what I'm trying to say, or CD. I hope that they let us do that, and it's not available, just that little cheesy mini selection that you have on Steam, because you do technically have that. So You do have that, you can have a little selection of them on Steam, but it's like 3 songs, I think, not the complete soundtrack. I actually like the soundtrack. I think it's good. I like the original too. Once again, as I said, I'm pretty sure that they will go ahead and make it so that you can get it. So we will have to go ahead and see what's it. It's Square Enix. I don't think any of us are going to be surprised when Square Enix is like, give me more money. We like money. So, music, I'd say, is pretty good too. Let's see. The only other thing I'd say is graphics. I think the graphics look nice. The graphics might be a little bit of a contention point, because I know some people really like the original NES graphics. These are more familiar to the graphics I am familiar with. 1 second. These are more familiar with the graphics that I am familiar with. I'm used to the GBA graphics, and these are kind of what they're based off of. More accurately, they're based off the WonderSwan version, as opposed to the NES version. If you really like the old graphics, that's fine. But I'd say that this is a pretty good game, honestly. As I said, fixes the bugs, keeps a lot of what made the old games good, doesn't make it too easy. Overall, I'd have to probably give it... I'll go with a 75. I don't want to give it too high because there's better RPGs. Yeah, you know what? No, I'll give it a 70. Which isn't to say it's a bad game. I really like it. I will definitely visit Final Fantasy 1 again at some point. I'll probably play it for my son here soon, to be quite honest, because I do think it's a good game. But the other thing is, I think we give games not enough credit if they score a 70. I think that a lot of people view games as only, oh, it's 90 and above, that means they're good. Whereas, you know, anything lower than 80, I'd say people will turn away from because it's not good, and I don't think that's fair. I think that once you hit into 40%, so you're like 4 out of 10, I think that would be a good range to start saying that's a bad game. But just because a game is lower doesn't make it bad. So I'd give it a 7 out of 10, honestly. Gameplay, probably 3.5 out of 5. No, 3 out of 5. I had to think about it. Good. It's good. It's basic, but it's fun. Graphics, it's emulating the Game Boy Advance style. I'll go ahead and... that one I will give 3.5, because I think that they did it pretty well. Replayability, I'll give that one a 4 out of 5. You can get through it really quickly, honestly. So it's a lot of fun to do there. And as I said, parental morality / parental warnings, I really can't think of any that I would give. I guess the most things I would say is a couple enemies here and there that are a little provocative, but not like anything crazy. So yeah, honestly, I would say it's a good game. I would highly recommend it if you're interested in seeing where Final Fantasy started. And I would agree with that, Alex. A lot of people don't think that, though. But yes, I would agree. And that's why it's like, nah, I want to give... It's like... I guess, in comparison, since you were talking about Pokemon, I would say that the Diamond and Pearl remakes were average games, and that's okay. I like that. They were worth my money. Sword and Shield, on the other hand, I would not say were average games. But I'm also very picky with my Pokemon games. I liked X and Y. I didn't like Sun and Moon. I didn't like Sword and Shield. I am holding out hope for Legends. We'll see. Maybe I'm just too old. Maybe I'm just too old and I'm grumpy. But either way, I would definitely say this is a good, solid 7 out of 10, so 70%. Definitely recommend it. I'm going to turn on my space here. I'm cold. Give me 1 second. Honestly, I thought the credits for Final Fantasy 1 would be short, and they're not. So I thought that I would be done with my review. Actually, I guess it is wrapping up close to it. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else to say, honestly, because it's like Yes, I would agree with that, Alex. I am glad that they brought in a couple of things from Platinum. But once again, the fact that they don't have the Battle Frontier is like, why? What is this? I don't even. You take out some... Oh! Thank you, Alex. That is one thing I did want to comment on for Final Fantasy 1 Pixel Remaster, and all the Pixel Remasters, actually. So, that is one thing I do think is very silly of Square Enix. For all of the Pixel Remasters, they've taken out the extra content. So there was 4 extra bonus dungeons in Final Fantasy 1, since at the very least the Game Boy Advance version, if not a little bit earlier than that. The PSP version had it. Basically, they've had it for a long time. For some reason, they took it out of this. I can't remember if there's extra content for 2 or 3, but they took out the extra content for 4. They took out the extra content for 5 and 6, and I don't know why. It's like, if you already have it accessible, why not have it? I guess, I get it. You're trying to give as much of the original version as possible, but update the graphics and the music. I get it. But at the same time, I'd still say that's a little bit of a flaw, because it's like, we know it exists, we're not dumb, the internet didn't delete it. So just throw it in. And if you throw it in as DLC, I will be upset. If you give it free DLC, that'll be fine. I'm okay with that. Okay. So yeah, I guess that would wrap up my thoughts about Final Fantasy 1 review. I'll ship this off to Katoons and see if he'll take it.